Can you see the screen
Yes.
with the agenda? All right.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, I want to welcome everybody to the November 18th Transit Advisory Committee. Appreciate you all moving your schedules since we had to move this a week later due to the November holiday. So let's start with introductions. So if the staff could start introducing themselves, I'd appreciate it.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Diana Isasa. I'm the TAC liaison, and I'll turn it over to Pierre.
Good evening, everyone. Pierre Holloman, and I am the Chief of Arlington Transit. Thank you.
Thanks, Pierre.
I'll call on the next person. We have Clinton Edwards.
Good evening, everyone. Clinton Edwards, Transit Services Manager, and I'll pass it over to Robin.
Thanks, Clinton.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Robin McElhenney. I'm the Transit Capital Program Manager.
Thanks, Robin.
Diana, could you call on someone for me?
Sure. I see Francis is in the meeting. You're on mute, Francis. You are on mute, sorry.
Okay. Is that okay now?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Francis Teddy. I'm the Grants Compliance Specialist with Arlington County.
All righty. Thank you.
Thank you. And I see Christopher is with us tonight.
Good evening. I'm Chris Lane, Intergovernmental Liaisons for Arlington County.
All righty.
David Fry.
Good evening, everyone. I'm David Fry. I'm the Grants Administrator with Arlington County.
All right.
I see Josh Drucker.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Josh Drucker. I'm the Transit Technology Manager.
Thank you.
All right.
And we also have Joshua Reeve and Paul Meunier from Transit.
Joshua Reeve, Transit Services Coordinator.
All right, Josh.
Good evening. My name is Paul Meunier. I'm the service planner for the ART bus system.
All right, Paul. Thank you. Okay. Any other staff members? Okay.
I'm the WMATA service coordinator.
Oh, Kirk. Sorry,
Okay.
Kirk.
All right. Thanks, Kirk. Any other staff members? Okay, if not, committee members, my name's John Carton. I'm chair of the TAC.
My name is James Davenport. I'm vice chair of TAC.
I'm Roseanne Ashby. I'm a member of the TAC.
This is Erica Chung, member of the TAC.
All right.
David Sisson, TAC member.
All right. Any other members of the committee? Okay, I guess Diana will have to wait for a quorum.
That is correct. I see Frank Crow joined, but we still don't have a quorum.
Okay. All right. You can let us know when we get a quorum. With that in mind, we'll move on to public comment tonight. Is anybody here for public comment from the public?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, if you'd introduce yourself, please.
Hi, so I'm Josie Sull and I live on Columbia Pike.
Okay.
So the westbound bus stop that's closest to my apartment, which is stop 6000270 at Columbia Pike and Scott Street, has been closed for since August 11th due to the construction project along Columbia Pike. WMATA initially had posted that the closure would run until October 11th, which has obviously passed, and now there's no information about the stop closure on the website. I tried reaching out to WMATA, to ArtBus, and to the city for more information about an updated timeline to the closure, but I haven't been able to get one. So I rely on the transit system to get to work, to the store, pretty much everywhere I go. So the closure's been a little bit challenging. And even inconvenience aside, the ongoing construction has created a situation where the walk from the next closest stop to my apartment is often pretty difficult to navigate and sometimes kind of unsafe, especially now that with daylight savings, me and a lot of commuters are traveling after dark. So the conditions on the pedestrian walkways change pretty much daily, but they almost always include closed crosswalks, poor lighting and signage, sidewalks that are blocked or replaced with gravel ditches, and tripping hazards. And if these things are hard for me to navigate, I'm young, I can walk around. I can't imagine them being passable at all for people using wheelchairs or canes who can't run across a busy road or climb through a gravel pit to get around the blockages. So I think that access to information about the transit changes and safe alternatives to closed stops is really critical to navigate these kinds of situations. And Arlington residents who rely on this transit to get to work and school deserve better than silence and dangerous commutes when these kinds of temporary modifications are necessary.
Okay, thank you for sharing that with us. Certainly, that has been a tough stretch down there, as other parts of the Columbia Pike have been. I know. Clinton, you want to comment on that? Or how Josie can get better information? Because apparently she's had a really tough time getting good information about the stop closing and when it might open.
Yes. Do you, there's actually a county page for the Columbia Pike project and the segments of that. Are you familiar with that information that's blasted there?
Yeah, I hadn't found anything on there that was specifically about the bus closure. It just kind of ballparked some of the like when vaguely this segment is supposed to be done,
Okay. So you're
which I
looking for
think is
more
like winter
specific.
25.
Okay.
Yeah, because there used to be that August or October 11th date online, and now there's not a date. So it would just be nice to be able to figure out when to expect that back.
Okay.
Maybe Clinton could get your email address, or he could give you his, and then he could follow up with you. What
Oh,
works
yeah,
best
totally.
there, Clinton?
Yes, if you provide me your email address, we can get you the necessary resources, and I'll copy Diana as well so that she can know that we've had the correspondence. So we can get you basically a little bit more detail as to the sequencing in which stops are going to close.
That would be great. Is there
Okay,
like, can I put
excellent.
it in a chat or something? Let me see.
Yes, if you can put it in
Yeah,
the chat,
there
that'll
we
be
go.
helpful. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that with us. Okay, any other public comment tonight? Okay, hearing none. Do we have a quorum yet, Diana?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'm Kent Keyser. I'm a member of your subcommittee. I just wanted to let you know I was here.
Okay, great. Thank you.
No, I don't see a quorum yet.
Okay, all right. Well, so we'll hold off on the minutes and approval of the meeting date. So why don't we go to the next item, which is the county legislative update?
Fantastic. I'm going to go ahead and do this sort of as a hybrid because I'm going to have you guys in my headphones on my phone and then go ahead and be sharing a screen very briefly here to help walk through some of that from my laptop. So go ahead and just confirm we get the slideshow up here. All right, and I'm going to share from there. All right, let me know when y'all can hear my screen. See my screen?
Yeah, we can see it now.
Wonderful. All right, thanks all. So I think really quick, as far as the legislative update, the county has just adopted its final legislative package. So I'm going to go ahead and walk through that very quickly. I'm going to give you the 2-minute version of the 15-minute update that Brian Esty, the legislative and policy analyst for the county, gave to the county board during the adoption package. But the long and short of the package development is that we had between Brian and I, so Brian sort of serving as the coach in the box and me as the quarterback on the field, are going to be working with county staff, with elected officials, and with advisory groups to sort of continue synthesizing opinions and then representing the county's views to the legislature. We've put together the package. Now we are in sort of the advancing the county's various legislative initiatives, securing patrons, and preparing for the legislative session. The way that we broke down the package was in the sense of legislative value. So this is when the county, when we are trying to digest the 2,000 bills that we expect to come before us in the next 2 months, this is going to be the guiding principles that help us sort of filter out how we should respond to novel issues that we haven't yet anticipated. Our legislative initiatives are a small set of pragmatic changes where we know that the county is going to need to lead because we are the sort of either uniquely affected by a specific issue, or we're going to be the ones who are in charge of recruiting a patron, providing talking points, building the coalition and advancing an initiative to help the county. We're really focusing in this year of transition and budget uncertainty on a couple of small pragmatic fixes around the edges where we can reserve a lot of our capacity for education of new members, as well as for defense and making sure that the county's priorities are respected in all the other initiatives that are going to be brought forward this session. We'll go ahead and talk through the legislative positions, focusing on the 2 elements of transportation, and then really just honing in on the one legislative position that we will all be focusing on. That's going to be our WMATA, securing funding for WMATA and other regional transit funding. So with that, so essentially we're going to be beginning the session in the middle of January. We know that it's going to be a 60-day session. We're going to be going through the 2-year budget cycle. This year we are expecting a very tight fiscal outlook. I was just at the House Appropriations Committee, and the amount of basically discretionary revenue that the General Assembly has is pretty de minimis and already oversubscribed. So we are in a relatively unique position. The other thing that's going on, to give you some context, is that with the victory of Governor-elect Spanberger, Attorney General-elect Jay Jones, and Lieutenant Governor-elect Ghazal Hashmi, those teams are transitioning into that role. All the team members have been announced, and we have there was a 13-seat swing pickup by the Democrats, leading to the House of Delegates being a 64-36 majority. This is a relatively seismic shift in the composition of the legislature, a 30-seat Democratic shift from 2017 to present, meaning that when it comes to transportation issues, we are going to be doing a lot of education. In terms of the transition, what it means for us is that we're going to be engaging with policy teams. Of the 15 policy teams that were set up by the incoming administration, the transportation policy is going to be spearheaded by Tracy Bannard of McGuire Woods, who's a representative for MBTA, Nick Donahue, who many of y'all know from DMV News, and Marion Radcliffe of Kemper Consulting. So that is sort of the key intel for the transition. As in regards to the legislative status, Our first bills have started to drop as of November 17th, focusing on some core resolutions that we expect coming either in an April special or in November. Initiatives like housing and a couple of places where the Speaker of the House is really positioning his caucus to be leading on. We are going to have all bills pre-filed by December 1st, with final drafts out by the end of the year. And then we will get a sense of what the 2,000 bills are that we're going to be working on with the county by January 14th when pre-filing ends. So that with that, we'll just really quickly go into the sort of some of the core values that we're working on with the county. So building stronger communities, enabling innovation, fully funding commitments to local government, and avoiding unfunded mandates. Right now, with major changes at the federal level, this is going to be the budget is going to be a key place where we're playing. Preserving existing revenue authority and protecting Arlingtonians and Virginians specifically from some of those federal cuts, compensating cuts. So in terms of initiatives, we're going to be working on several initiatives. The one transportation one I want to highlight on this page is our performance pilot parking expansion. Essentially, we are going to be trying to work proactively to increase the enforcement of our on-street parking that's metered in residential spaces. Right now, we have about 39% compliance, which results in increased traffic, reduced flow, and reduced access to sites, and really inefficient use of the on-street sites. That's again, it's we are looking at all these fixes as sort of small technical changes that we can advance from the county's perspective. We are going to, so sort of shifting through our other priorities, I want to get us to transportation. We expect that there are going to be changes made towards automated enforcement. That's gonna, which could potentially impact our photo speed and photo red enforcement abilities. We recognize these resources as a key force multiplier that's able to reduce traffic speeds and keep folks safe without having to allocate additional LEO presence in sites like work zones and school zones. Then the sort of final initiative that I already mentioned is that Senator Evan introduced SJ 28, and over the past 2 years, we've been looking in Virginia, but also in coordination regionally with the DMV Moves effort at a package of funding to address core issues with WMATA capital needs, as well as with the needs for the for operating funds for both WMATA as well as the other regional transit networks. So in the MBTC and the PRTC regions, those two initiatives from a transportation perspective are going to really absorb a lot of our time and energy. And when it comes to the other key area that we have, let's call it permission to engage on behalf of the county, the main priority of that's going to be around Vision Zero supporting programs around bike ped protections, etc. So with that, that's about, I know it's a little bit longer than 5 minutes, but we covered the transition, we covered the legislative package development, 2 transportation related initiatives that we are expecting to be engaging on. And I want to go ahead and turn it over quickly to questions or to our moderator.
Okay, questions for Christopher? I've got a question for you. Christopher, sure. In terms of automated enforcement, how do you see that expanding from where it is right now?
So right now, I think expansion is deeply in question. There are a lot of concerns with how the current programs are being rolled out, not necessarily in Arlington, but there's a key contention that basically the photo red and photo speed are being used as a way to raise money for the county. I think one of the core arguments that we're going to be making is that when you take our investments in bike ped safety, transportation improvements, those profoundly dwarf any of the revenue that comes from something like photo red or photo speed. So if we end up having the lockbox revenues in excess of what it takes to operate those programs, boards, those types of programs, we'd be willing to accept that. We'd like to see expansion into other areas, but it's going to require some, I think it's going to require some key guardrails being adopted around the programs to appease members downstate and some of the issues that are happening in other jurisdictions.
Okay. Well, certainly the enforcement in the school zones, I think it's been good to see here in Arlington. And I think that's made a big difference in some of the critical streets that the schools are on. And
Yeah,
the
we do.
and the red light running too. It's been good to see that.
Yeah, we should. So there's going to be sort of a trio of additional automated enforcement in different aspects. So we expect a bill to be coming from WMATA in regards to like bus lane and BRT lane or bus stop and BRT lane enforcement. And we also are expecting to see folks advance with the there was a stop sign enforcement that was being spearheaded by one of the vendors. So I expect stop signs, expect WMATA and transit enforcement, violation enforcement, and then the work that we're doing in our sort of more focused parking pilot to look at metered and residential zones.
Okay. Other questions for Christopher? All right. Don't hear any. So Christopher, thanks for sharing with us tonight. And good luck down there in Richmond.
Y'all are very welcome. I currently am enjoying a Starbucks out in Loudoun County. We were out near the House Appropriations Committee retreat that they were having in GMU. But I will I think Brian and I are available for comments, questions, and to be able to help y'all as we are moving forward. I did have one unrelated question, which is I'm looking at the meeting minutes for the TAC and see that there was a May meeting, a September meeting, and then this month's meeting. Are those the 3 meetings that have occurred in 2025?
No, actually, we have 6 meetings every year. It just so happened we didn't have a quorum at the May meeting. So, and also at September, I think we had September was our last meeting. So we routinely approve those, but we have 6 meetings a year. The May ones are rolling over just because I don't think we had a quorum to approve them. Our July meeting was, it was actually a transit trip around the country, around the county. We wanted to do it around the country, but we didn't have funding for it. No, just kidding. We take our annual transit trip in July and go around and see some of the projects that are ongoing around the county. So we typically have 6 meetings a year, every other month.
Thank you. That's really helpful, not for a transit bill, but for a FOIA bill that I'm helping navigate. So it's good to get some insights on how that's structured. Thanks, y'all.
Okay, thank you. All right, next item here is the Art Fair free Halloween and 26 ridership update.
Paul's going to be doing the first part. Bear with me. I'm about to share my screen.
Okay.
How's this looking for everyone?
Yes, it looks good. Thank you.
Perfect. Paul, do you want to take it away?
Okay. So I'm going to briefly go over just some initial ridership statistics, and we did do a free fare promotion on Halloween and talk about how that compares to other previous Halloweens. So on the screen right now, ridership for Halloween FY23 through FY26 Between 6 and the close of service on Halloween, we provided free rides this year to help people get around, another option for travel. On the screen is a table. It has the time periods on the left side from 6 o'clock in the evening to 1 o'clock in the morning, and provides the number of riders during those hours for each week. Along the top, it's Halloween 31st, Halloween 2025, 2024, 2023, and 2022 compared against each other. You'll see that at the bottom, the totals, there are 1,916 trips last year. That was the highest ridership that we had on Halloween. This year, when we did have the free promotion for Halloween, we had 1,641 riders. In 2023, that was the second highest ridership at 1,723, and then in 22 there was 1,095 riders. Part of the reason we think that this there seems to be a lower number, even though we had free rides, is that that the government shutdown was going on during the month of October. People were not commuting as much. Also, I'm not sure if the fact that it was Friday and people tend to stay home on that day, teleworking, if they have a optional telework package, that might have helped to suppress it. I think it's still successful, you know, not out of the range. It's just a little bit discouraging to see the numbers going down, but again, I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that it was there was a government shutdown and we didn't have our regular ridership. And then the next slide.
Can you see the next slide?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
No problem.
On the next slide, this is ridership. At the top, it says ridership FY25 through FY24, or compared to FY24. There are two tables on this slide. The one on the left is for July 2025, August 25, September 2025. And then on the right side is July 2024, August 2024, and September 2024. These ridership numbers are separated out by route on the left, going down the left-hand column, routes 41 through 87 with their ridership for the month. The totals are along the bottom, and you can see for every month so far this year, we are surpassed, or through September, we are gaining a lot of ridership, around 30 to 50,000 riders per month. So it's 252,000 in July of 2025 compared to 204,000 in July of 2024. Next slide, please. Okay, on this slide at the top, it's percent ridership change FY25, FY24 through FY25. There is a table on this slide. Down the left-hand side, you have the routes listed, or left-hand column, the routes listed 41 through 87, and then the percent change that happened for each route over the first 3 months of the year, July, August, and September. Relatively speaking, ridership has gone up each month, except there were a few routes in September that actually lost a little bit of ridership, that being the 72, the 74, and the 77. By month, in July, for the system total, there was a 23.6% increase in ridership. For August, there was a 25.9% increase in ridership. And for September, there was a 14.9% increase in ridership, which averages out to about a 21.4% growth in ridership. These are very high numbers for growth. Pre-pandemic, it was exciting to see 3 to 5% growth. That was considered extremely high growth for a transit system. But we have been seeing this kind of exponential growth for the past 5 years. I'm not sure why September was suppressed a little bit. I don't know if the government shutdown had started at that point, and I am not sure why these specific routes did have a decrease in ridership. That's something that we can investigate further and investigate as the year goes on. In short, we continue to grow at a very high rate. With the transit system, we have not quite reached the level that we did pre-2019. However, I still expect to see growth continuing. This is also why we have been reducing services over the past couple of years. Unfortunately, October is typically the highest ridership month we have each year. As just seasonally, for whatever reason, October seems to be the typical high month. But unfortunately, I think that's going to be affected as due to the government shutdown, which is now ended. So hopefully we will see those numbers increasing again and going back up. And I believe that is my last slide, and I am open to any questions.
It is your last slide, yep. So any questions?
So I guess you were saying we're almost back to the level we were pre-pandemic?
Yeah, we're really close. I don't have the exact number off the top of my head, and I do know that some routes have been outperforming what they were doing pre-pandemic. In particular, the 75 has experienced strong growth. I think a lot of that is contributable to the students that ride the ART bus free for the iRide student program. But in general, overall, we've continued to grow at a very, very fast rate.
Good. So the number of students that are riding has been increasing regularly every year?
It has been increasing regularly. Yeah, it has been since we started the iRide program. And I do want to note, though, that we have also have a where students can ride WMATA buses in Arlington County free, which has affected the Arlington transit system a little bit. But still, we still see growth in that on WMATA and ART both.
Okay, good. All right. Other questions for Paul?
John, I see some questions on the chat.
Okay.
Oh, did you see them? Oh, okay.
Yes. So ART was only free after 6 p.m. on Halloween. So that is why we use those hours for the analysis. And okay, and there was not much change on the 87. It's being noted in that comment that there is not much change on the 87 because the person takes the 87. Service on ART has been generally good over the last few months, but there's still some delays with the 87 coming on schedule. Can this be fixed? So in January, we have a service change, and we are adding service to the 87. What is going to happen is we are going to eliminate the variants, the A, the P, and the X. And during the peak period, instead of having those variants, we are going to run 10-minute service in the morning peak, afternoon peak. So that's between roughly 5:30 and 9:30 in the morning and 3:30 and 7 o'clock in the evening. And that is, we were able to secure a grant from MBTC to allow us to add service to the 87. So you should see great improvement after January 11th when the changes go into effect. It may take a little bit. New services sometimes takes a little bit to get used to, but I think that it's going to be a significant improvement to the service that you're seeing there. You won't have the confusing schedule. It will just be the regular ART routing, and it will be coming every 10 minutes.
Okay. Paul, I'll just say this, two communities that I'm connected with, I think fully support the free transit travel on Halloween. First of all, it's the parents of kids, getting cars off the road. That's a good thing. And then also in the neighborhoods that are close to bars and restaurants where people tend to drink a lot on Halloween, it's good to see that there's a transit incentive for them to ride transit rather than drive their car, particularly after they've had something to drink. So I think from those two communities, they're very pleased to see that.
Oh, that's great to hear.
Yeah. Other questions for Paul? Okay. Thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right.
All right.
Well, Diana, I think we'll roll right into the next thing, the transit signal priority update.
Right.
And that's
Right.
me. Oh, sorry. Yeah, but yeah, okay. So hello everyone. Josh Drucker, the transit technology manager. And so as we've talked about a handful of times, it's been a slow project, but very exciting project. We're working on a transit signal priority project in Arlington County. So the goal is smarter, more reliable transit. A general issue, just as as traffic increases, is that buses get stuck in traffic, just like other cars or trucks or anything else on the road, and this leads to frustrating delays, bus bunching, and unreliable transit schedules that riders struggle to depend on. So part of the solution, this is not the silver bullet, the only thing that we need to do to fix the problem, but part of the solution is going to be implementing transit signal priority, which gives buses access to, in essence, smarter intersections, allowing buses to request extended green time or shorter red time. So what that means is as a bus is approaching, if it's running late, the bus will request that the green light stays green, so that way the bus can come through, or if it got stuck at a red light, it will request that the light changes from red to green. So the project journey. This is not every milestone along the way, but just a little recap of what's happened. We worked on just the primary transit network corridor study, and that was taking a look at all the corridors in Arlington and determining which ones would be most effective for TSP. And then we did an existing conditions implementation study of Langston Boulevard, as Langston Boulevard was the first corridor that was selected for this project. It took a little while, and then we got a contract started with the TSP vendor. We went with MyoVision to have the first cloud-based TSP project in the region. And after that got started, it took a little bit of lifting, but we were able to finally implement and get through the approval period of the Langston Boulevard TSP project. So I don't think we've been able to have a discussion since we have had it go live on Langston Boulevard. So that's where we are today. We're super excited. We've been collecting data since August, we'll say. There was an acceptance period through August, but we accepted it in September. So we do have some data in August. Yeah, so we're collecting data, and next steps are doing some effectiveness studies, and sorry about that. doing some effectiveness studies and implementing TSP on more corridors in Arlington.
So Josh, question for you.
Yes.
What's this look like on Langston in terms of, is this just a few test buses?
This is the whole
at
fleet
this
of
point?
buses for ART.
Okay.
This is, I'll get to Langston Boulevard overview in a second with the intersections, I believe 30 intersections, but this is all of ART buses that go through any intersection on Langston Boulevard. As a passenger, you probably won't notice anything different because with TSP, we're not talking about, extending a green light so much that like, a pedestrian is going to be waiting for their signal to change for, 6 minutes because there's a bus coming down the road, a mile down. We're only talking seconds, but seconds matter in the grand scheme of things. It should, the goal is to push us further and further on time. So as anyone else at the lights and even passengers on the vehicles, nothing really noticeable, but over time, the data is hopefully going to show that these TSP implementations improve our on-time performance and one piece of the puzzle to help us stay on time. By the way, I can't see Teams, so if anyone has any questions, please just shout it out. So I can't see.
This is Kirk.
Yes.
John, I just wanted to clarify that through the Better Bus Network redesign, the 3Y, WMATA's 3Y, no longer traverses. It was canceled. So there is no WMATA bus that would benefit from Langston Boulevard's TSP. So that's why it's ART only.
That is absolutely correct. In the future, we're looking to go to Columbia Pike and other corridors. Those corridors will have WMATA on them, and partnering with WMATA is something we're looking to do in the future. We're not prepared to do that right away. Just the technology and contractually, it'll take a minute, but we are looking to include them and anyone else, transit agency going through our major corridors where we have TSP. We want to include everyone. So that way all transit experiences this improved performance.
Josh, how much of what does it require for each bus to be able to be a part of this?
On the physical bus, we just need the GPS from a reliable enough GPS antenna to be able to ping every 1 to 5 seconds. Anything, if the bus is not updating its location at least every 5 seconds, that's not going to cut it for this project. But we were able to get our ART buses down to every single second. We send out like a GPS position ping. Beyond that, the only requirement is a GTFS schedule, which is what is used to say what bus is going to be on what route at what time and all of that kind of stuff behind the scenes, which every agency in this region does have, including us. The biggest barrier is that GPS ping down to every second.
And the communications of that ping to the cloud so that the signal would receive it.
And in Arlington, we're doing great on that front. And the other counties are close behind there. Sorry, in the region, everyone's pretty close there. The bigger trouble in the region is the hardware required at the intersection level. In Arlington, we're doing great. Our intersections across the county are some of the most modern intersections and capable intersections in the country. So we're doing pretty good here. There's a few others that are getting updated, but otherwise our intersections are ready to go as soon as we are. All right, I'm going to keep going here. Okay. So Langston Boulevard, currently live and operational. We activated in July 2025. It took us a while to configure everything and get everything up and running for on the bus side and the intersection side. And like I said, we've accepted the deployment since September. This is about a 5-mile stretch consisting of 30 intersections going from Roslyn to East Falls Church and vice versa. And this corridor currently is taking approximately 1,000 passengers a day. On weekdays, a little more, on weekends, a little less. But this is a pretty heavily commuted corridor that, as Kirk mentioned, is exclusively art for public transit. And yeah, we're really excited. Let me know if there are any questions. I'm going to continue.
Okay, why don't you go ahead and continue, and then we'll ask any questions at the end.
Great. So for the preliminary data observations, there's a couple caveats here because this is brand new and we're kind of still configuring the system to get the desired results. But so from the implementation in September through October, the end of October, we were set the configuration for this system at pretty much the most conservative we could, just to see what the effects would be. The late buses on the ART 55 decreased, so improved by 0.43% on average over I did that 3-month period from August through October. So that is an improvement. I don't want to belittle it and say it's small, but it's we're hoping that now with since November 1st, we've reconfigured the system to be a little bit more impactful with what we're hoping will have a bigger decrease in our late buses for ART 55. There's more configuration that we have the ability to do and that we're going to be doing. This is all in conjunction with T&O, a bureau within Arlington County, Traffic Engineering and Operations. They are the ones who maintain the intersections. So everything we're doing in conjunction with them. And so we're all this is the first time a lot of us are ever using TSP. So we're trying out different configuration settings and seeing how that does and making modifications from there. And so currently the average signal delay, so time that a bus is sitting at an intersection and not driving along the route or sitting at a bus stop, is about 20% of the Route 55, both inbound and outbound. So that's kind of our baseline for now. And we're going to keep making adjustments as we move forward. So next corridor and milestones. Not in order, but the corridors that we're looking at including are Columbia Pike, Glebe Road, Washington Boulevard, and in between Crystal City and Pentagon City corridor. We're looking at introducing this along Columbia Pike next, but that requires Columbia Pike to have its the construction as was mentioned earlier, more of the construction to be completed before we implement TSP along the corridor. But that is the next corridor we're looking to implement on. And then for project milestones, once we collect sufficient data, we're looking to do effectiveness studies in which we look at the data of buses on the corridor before TSP was implemented, and then we look at the data for the bus performance after TSP was implemented, and we review, what those changes were and how much can be attributed to TSP. So that is the majority of that. That's it. After this, I just have a thank you slide. So are there any questions? And remember, I can't see any hands raised. So please just call it out if you have any questions. And if someone doesn't mind reading from the chat, that would be amazing.
Okay.
I'm curious, what was the expected like, was there an expected improvement in late arrivals or on time performance? And how, if so, how
Yes.
did that compare to the 0.4%?
So that will be definitely looked into in the effectiveness study in more depth, because as I mentioned, with more configuration, we're hoping to improve our performance. But it can really vary. We were hoping for even just a few percent improvement. From 1 to 3% would be great. Anything more would be phenomenal. But as I mentioned in the beginning, this is really just one piece of the puzzle. We're not looking to save, you know, we're not looking to save exponential amounts of time on these routes. This is just getting through an intersection just a few seconds faster to try to catch, as a bus is getting later and later, kind of catch that before it gets too late, excessively late, and kind of help it get back on time best we can. So 0.4% improvement is good. We're hoping for a little bit more, but also remember it's only been 2, maybe 3 if you count that acceptance period, 3 months of data. So this is still very, very new, and we're keeping a sharp eye on it and making adjustments. And so that will be noted in the effectiveness studies as the improvements made, over these 2 months versus the next 2 months, and maybe more configuration in the future.
Okay. Hey, Josh, here's a question for you. So Columbia Pike is still under construction, particularly between Walter Reed and Washington Boulevard. So are you going to wait until that's really up and running to do your next street?
It seems like the timeline estimated by traffic operations and engineering, traffic engineering operations, sorry, it seems like the timeline for that construction to be complete might line up perfectly for when we're ready for our next corridor, which we're hoping at earliest, but it might be a little bit later, is the first quarter in calendar year 2026, but it might be a little bit further into 2026. But that's good for us because we just turned on Langston Boulevard. We want to collect a little bit of data, and as we get settled and then get ready to add Columbia Pike. So that might be perfect timeline for that. We're hoping not all of Columbia Pike will be complete, but the majority of Columbia Pike that we are on, or our route like 41, for example, we're hoping will be majority complete in the first half of 2026.
Okay, great. Any other questions for Josh?
This is Kirk. It's more of a statement and an explanation. So the configurations that Josh has been talking about is we've turned this on, now we're massaging it and trying to find the sweet spot. We have to keep in mind that while we're moving buses through the corridor, there's cars on the cross streets. And if we were just to make it green all the time, those cars would not get across, and therefore we'd have problems elsewhere in the county because of the gridlock. So in making these adjustments and then analyzing it and then making the adjustments and analyzing it, we're finding that sweet spot where it works both for transit buses, but also for the vehicular traffic within the county. And once all that's done, then we should have optimized the system and then be able to allow WMATA to use it, because we don't want them getting held up while we're doing all of the massage, if you will. Does that make sense, John?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It really does.
So,
It's
so that's
it's
why it's one of those things. It's not like a set it and forget it. It's one of those things where you have to massage it and analyze and massage and analyze and continue on until you get what you think is peak, and then something happens and you have to keep rinse and repeat. So
right.
And that's actually a great point, Kirk, because TE&O actually they're on a schedule where they review each intersection I think every couple of years. So because traffic patterns will change ever so slightly, and again we're talking seconds to keep the corridors flowing properly, but as traffic patterns slightly change due to more working from home or whatever it could be, those intersections get adjusted, and these timings, each intersection has its own timing plugged in for this project. And so this is never, as long as this is on, this is a project that will be ongoing, to continue trying to get those optimum results. But this being brand new, we're really making more sweeping kind of adjustments, broader strokes in the beginning, and then we'll kind of get to a finer adjustments as we get further along.
Yeah, and I can see, you want to optimize the system, but then as you go farther along here, the system optimization is so important because you've got Columbia Pike intersecting Glebe Road. If you got it on both of them, you want to optimize that, and then Washington Boulevard, crossing Glebe Road. So it's a real system that needs to be optimized, which takes time.
And actually, that's a great point too. Is prioritization of these calls, because the emergency services will get to utilize this system as well, and they, for obvious reasons, take priority on calling an intersection and changing a light over a bus calling an intersection to adjust the timing. So, yeah, that's a great point.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right, Josh. Thanks so much for sharing this with us, and look forward to more on it in the future.
Of course. Thanks for having me, you guys.
Okay. All right. The next item here is the Arlington Future Transportation discussion.
So good evening. I know we're running a little short on time, but first I do want to publicly acknowledge the Arlington Transit team. Many are here on today's meeting, but we also have quite a number of people who are not. But I just want to know all of the hard work that we are doing, and just want to acknowledge that we're striving to be the best. We do hear when we get complaints, we do listen, and we're going to do our darnest to ensure that we handle and fix those complaints and ensure those things don't happen again. But I just want to, like I said, just acknowledge that the team we have here is so dynamic. We are small but mighty, and we're accomplishing a lot. So I just want to give a big shout out to the team. So as you all may be aware, the TAC has a seat on the advisory committee for the Arlington Transportation Future Project. However, the rep for TAC, Mariella, is unable to attend tonight, so I'm going to kind of take the lead. And this is designed to be an open discussion. I'll spend about 10 minutes. We can have discussion, and I'll leave about 5 minutes for questions so we can get out of here on time. So I'm just going to quickly go to the presentation. The presentation does have questions that I will ping to the TAC members. If members of the public want to chime in, please feel free, but we are limited on time as noted. So first, just want to note we have an opening slide which notes the title, Arlington Transportation Future, but also note that the TAC is requested feedback on the modal priority networks and curb lane usage categories. So just a quick overview. Back in July of this year, the county board endorsed the vision and goals for the refreshed transportation plan. This is intended to replace the former Arlington Transportation Master Plan. So the new title is Arlington Transportation Future. So right now we are in phase 3, and with phase 3, we're getting feedback from the public on the draft policies, modal priority networks, and curb lane usage categories. So the feedback that we do receive all that information is going to be fed into the elements that go into this new transportation plan. So this input from the TAC and also from the public in general is definitely needed and welcome. So as noted, this is the chance for the TAC to weigh in. I want this to be a little interactive. Like I mentioned, we only have a little bit of time, but try to make this interactive as possible. But there is opportunities to make public comment online and in person, and I do have that information to share as we go through the slides. So just the first question, the one to ping to the TAC. Are there any places in Arlington that you feel like you can't get to by bus or bike? And you all can chime in. You can put it in the chat. You can just put out answers. Are there any places that you feel that you can't get to by bus or bike? Oh, so assuming that everywhere in Arlington you can get to by bus or bike?
Well, I'll tell you, as I think about it, you know, you first should say bus and then say bike. And, you know, I think about that and I think, well, I can take my bike along on the bus, get off the bus, hop on my bike and get to that last destination, wherever it is. So I'm scratching my head here about with those two modes of transit, is there any place I can't get to? And I'm not sure I know of any.
Okay. I think there's something popped up in chat. The northern part is difficult to get to. Okay, that's noted. That's a good comment. Most places in the north of Langston Boulevard. Okay, that's another good comment we have in the chat. But yeah, if you all have additional comments, please feel free. You can send an email to Diana. You can CC me as well, and we can get that over to Mariella. The next question, what about short distance? Oh,
I'm sorry, it's Kit Keyser. I just point out that people with disabilities
okay.
Need to be considered.
Yes.
And so that changes the game significantly to your question.
True.
Understood. So we'll note that as a comment, and we'll just go to the next question. What about short distances that are too hard to walk or too hard to roll? Are there any challenges that you all could think of within Arlington that meet that category?
I would say that we need to do a full survey of all the sidewalks.
Okay. Comments noted, the full survey of all the sidewalks. All right. Were there any additional comments?
I'd say the one comment I have would be if there are areas like along Route 50 or some of the higher speed roads where it's just seems too dangerous to try and, you know, walk anywhere along that stretch where it doesn't have a parallel road or sidewalk really close to it. Those are the areas I'd be concerned about.
All right,
And I think of Route 50 in particular.
All right, thank you. That's noted.
And this is Roseanne. I was thinking of areas of the county that are hilly without sidewalks.
Hilly
You
without
know, like
sidewalks.
Crystal City, there's some areas up in there, North Arlington, places like that.
Okay, that's noted as well. Thank you. All right, were there any additional comments? And as noted, if you have comments later, please feel free to send an email to Diana. You can also CT me. And this is going to go into the record for TAC as far as the comments that the advisory committee is seeking from each committee or commission. All right. So I'll just touch base on the draft policies. The draft policies have been posted online, but these are the foundation for the vision goals. And a lot of the policies, there are 23 total, is more so building on the strong foundation. And it will set the base for how the transportation future plan goes forward. So it's to be considered as a guide and strategy as well. And like I noted, there are 23 draft policies. We don't have time tonight to go through all of them, but within the presentation, there is a link that will take individuals to view or listen to those draft policies. And there's also a public feedback survey. I noted that there are opportunities to provide individual input, and this is an opportunity. So the link for the phase 3 feedback form is also included. And I believe, Diana, you will share this with the TAC, and this also will be posted online tomorrow or sometime by the end of this week. But like I noticed, we only have a few minutes, so due to time, I'm just going to focus on the transit priority network and also talk about the draft curb lane use categories. So I'm gonna have to switch my screen because it's a little hard to do this from here. Just give me 1 second. So displayed on the screen is a map of the county. And within the map, there are 2 listed ways in which transit are considered priority. There's a priority 2, which is the dark purple color, and there's a priority 3, which is a light purple color. Just to note that everything that's considered priority 1, that's all for pedestrian, that's all streets. So the comment about sidewalks, we noted earlier, we are hoping to address that as part of this larger effort for a transportation future. But like I mentioned, we're going to focus on the transit priority corridors. So I'm going to start in the northern section of the county and work my way south. Within the northern section of the county, I'm not going to know all the roads, but I'll know some of the roads. The transit priority 2 corridors include Northfleet Road, Old Dominion, Langston Boulevard. There's also the GW Parkway, though we don't have art service there. We wanted to make sure that that's just recognized as a potential corridor in the future if transit is operated. And regarding transit priority 3, so even though I mentioned that there's transit priority 2 and transit priority 3, that doesn't mean that a transit priority 3 doesn't get the same level of attention related to transit. It's just that on a transit priority 2 corridor, that level of investment towards transit may be a little higher than maybe the transit priority 3. And maybe the transit priority 3 may have a combination of different modes that have a higher priority. So even though it may note that it's a priority 3, doesn't mean that it's not going to get that level of attention. But within the North County, as far as transit priority 3, there's Yorktown Boulevard, North George Mason, North Harrison, and Patrick Henry as well. And working our way south, we have Washington Boulevard, and within the Roslyn, Clarendon, Boston corridor, it has been identified as transit priority 3 for the most part. There are sections between Clarendon and Boston along Wilson Boulevard, which transit is considered priority 2. But mainly between Clarendon and Roslyn, it's identified as priority 3 because there are many other there are other modes, not to say competing, but there are other modes of travel that also require some level of attention. So not saying that transit is not important, but there are other modes for consideration along that stretch. Proceeding to the south, there's North Pershing, that's identified as priority 2. Also Columbia Pike, 4 Mile Run, South George Mason, South Glebe, and the Transitway corridor, which includes Crystal City and Potomac Yard and Pentagon City. There are several priority 2 corridors noted on here as well. Like I mentioned, due to time, we don't have a chance to go through each one of these corridors, but just wanted to share this with you all. And there's more information via the link that's posted in this presentation, and that will be shared. So I'm just going to quickly go back to the slides. So just some quick feedback. I know that was a quick run through of the priority corridors. The questions that the advisory group was seeking to obtain from committees and commissions were, how well does the draft transit priority corridor connect to you and the places you want to go? So if there's anything that's missing, if there are places that you want to go to and travel to within Arlington, just let us know. If you want to note that now, that's great. But if you want to share that after the meeting, that's also welcome as well. Another question was, are there key destinations you feel that are not well served? And also, do you have any feedback in general for the transit priority network? So like I mentioned, since we're running short on time, I'm just going to skip through, find a number of this. So there are various curb lane use categories. Right now, transportation safety, which notes infrastructure necessary to minimize crashes, such as daylighting and other safety design treatments, curb extensions. What else is on here? Oh, transit modal priority network connectivity uses that facilitate multimodal mobility along the curb, like bus lanes, sidewalks, etc. Those are the two that have been identified as the two highest priority. But there are also other categories on here, such as good access, that's looking at freight movement along the curb and pickup and drop-off zones, people access, which facilitate movement across the curb, looking at bus stops, rail stations, and access to passenger loading zones. And bike stations, there's greening, using green infrastructure along the curb, parking, that's pretty straightforward, and utility access. So the question that the advisory committee wanted to know was, is transportation safety and modal priority network connectivity, are those the top, or should they be the top priority? And if they are not, what are recommendations that you all have that should be the focus on the top two priorities? So if you want to weigh in now, or like I mentioned, you can send some notes after the meeting. But does anyone have any feedback on which of these would be the top two priorities, or are transportation safety and modal priority network connectivity the main priorities?
To me, I think those two would be my two top priorities. So I think you have it right.
Okay.
This John.
All right. So that's noted. And I'll just quickly jump to, let's go to the last one. So there, like I mentioned, there are chances to weigh in. There is an opportunity this coming Saturday at Arlington Mill Community Center from 1:30 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. There's also the opportunity, as I mentioned, to provide feedback through the online form. And this is the individual feedback, and that will be open until December 7th. And I've included that here in the link as well. But as we are running short, just want to know if there were any questions. As noted, Diana will share this with the TAC, and this will be posted onto the TAC site before the end of this week.
Okay, thanks, Pierre. And Pierre, I think that's great that you give people in-person opportunity to express their thoughts, but also for those that can't do it in person, that they can do it online. So one way or the other, they can express their thoughts here on this. So thank you for sharing that with us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to the accessibility subcommittee. So why don't you all give us your update there, Roseanne?
Okay. Okay, very good. So I'll be brief in the interest of time. It's been almost a year that we've had this new contract with We Drive You. And it's been a very frustrating year, but I have to tell you honestly, tonight at our meeting, this was the first time that I really feel that maybe things are going in a positive direction. There's been some changes that people notice in terms of changes in the app that people are using, to order their rides and to track their rides. Some of the things that committee members and the public have brought, to the attention of the county have been addressed. There's been I think more timely service. There are still a few rides. I mean, it's a certain percentage of rides that are taking too long to get a person to their destination, and we still need to look at that. Um, there's been some progress in terms of the cleanliness of the vehicles, although we still have to work on that in terms of a little better inspection, frequent inspection, and maybe more specific, how do I say, supervision, and to make sure that the vehicles are clean. There is training going on. I know training of the user of drivers, which is the subcontractor, as well as the We Drive You operators. So I really think that we're making some progress, and I'm happy to report that. So the county got several compliments tonight. So I do want to mention that. On a different matter, we heard from a county staff person about the proposed taxi fare increase, which apparently brings the taxi fares in Arlington, or would bring the taxi fares in Arlington on a par with other taxi fares in the area. But one of the concerns that was raised, and it's a very legitimate one, is that there are not enough wheelchair accessible taxis. And so Red Top and Blue Top do have some, but it's not enough. And somehow that needs to be rectified, because people have to book in advance for Star. They also need to be able to demand an immediate ride in an accessible vehicle. And so we're going to be talking more about that in the future, as well as talking about Uber and Lyft. And we don't have a lot of accessible Ubers here in Arlington. The comment was made at the meeting, there are more accessible Ubers in DC, but not in Arlington. So it was a good meeting tonight. I feel optimistic. I don't know if Kent, if you're still on, if you want to share any perspectives that you have, I'm happy to have you do that.
I think you covered it, Madam Chairwoman. Thank you.
And John, do you have any questions or?
No, I don't. I'm just thrilled to hear that things are getting better.
Yeah, I am
Because
too.
that's a big change from what we heard in September.
That is true. People have been working hard. And we've also gotten a lot of good data. Tonight, we had asked for some more specific metrics, more finely honed metrics, or we could really see how different groups were affected, whether they be ambulatory or non-ambulatory, or user versus We Drive You rides. And we got a lot of good data tonight, which is helpful to us.
Good. Okay, so is that your report?
That's my report.
Okay, great. Thanks so much. All right, are there additional items from the committee members? Oh, wait a minute, before we go there, Diana, do we have a quorum that we can approve minutes and the dates?
No,
We
we
don't.
don't.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll have to do that at the next meeting, which will be in January. But in the meantime, send those dates out to folks. And then we'll plan to do that in January. Okay, are there any other items from committee or staff that they'd like to bring up at this time before we adjourn?
Just, Mr. Chair, just a point for clarification, since the 2026 TAC meeting calendar was not adopted tonight, I do recommend that there be electronic poll to set the next meeting date, because in January, as you may be aware, is the TRB meetings that typically happen the second week of January. And the TAC has traditionally moved their meeting from that second Tuesday in January to the third Tuesday in January. So I'm just suggesting, and you can make the call on this, just suggesting that there be a poll sent out to TAC members to see if the January meeting date should be changed, and also to seek approval of the 2026 meeting calendar.
Okay, Pierre, I think that's an excellent suggestion. So let's go ahead and send that out, and so people can have it on their radar screen. Okay, any other comments from committee members or staff? If not, is there a motion to adjourn? Don't everybody
So
speak
moved.
at once. Second? Did I hear a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so you all have a good holiday here in November, December, and we'll look forward to seeing you in January. Thanks so much. And look for your email tomorrow coming in from Diana, so we can be responsive to her as well. Okay, good night.
Happy
Good night, everybody.
holidays.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right.